Janice Shimikubo, and I'm chair of the Human Relations Commission. It's now 5 p.m. and it's Monday, November 9th, 2020, and I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Human Relations Commission. So first on our agenda this evening is a roll call. So let's start please with Commissioner Day.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Eneman.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Mendoza.
Here.
Commissioner Roden.
Present.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Hinchman.
Present.
Thank you. And I'm Janice Shimikubo. And on staff, we have Sharon Sini. And
Hello,
Bill.
everyone.
Thank you. Bill Hyland.
Hello.
Hi, Bill. Kelly Corsett.
This is Brent Stockwell. I'll say I'm here, and Kelly said that he would be joining a few minutes late. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Megan Lynn.
Present, thank you.
Thanks, Megan. And also tonight we have with us Assistant Chief Rich Slavin from the Scottsdale Police Department. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening,
And
everyone.
thank you for coming. And before we move on, I'd like to take this opportunity to let everyone know that as of last month, Commissioner Kane Huizar resigned from the commission. And so I'd like to thank Commissioner Huizar for her service to the city, as well as to our commission, and to wish her the best in all her future endeavors. And so it's my understanding that the City Council will appoint a new commissioner in early December. Next, we don't have any public comments. Is that correct, Megan and Sharon?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's move then to agenda item number 1, which is the approval of the minutes from September 14th. As a reminder, we did not have a quorum in October, so we postponed the meeting. So we are going to approve the minutes from September 14th, 2020. Is there any discussion or any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Move approval. This is Commissioner Eneman.
Thank you, Commissioner Eneman. Is there a second?
Second, Hinchman.
Thank you. And all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. The minutes of September 2020 are approved. And the next agenda item is the presentation discussion regarding the National Employment of People with Disabilities Awareness Month. And I'd like to turn this over to Sharon Sini for the proclamation.
Thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. Let me just zoom in on this. Oops. My apologies. On behalf of the City of Scottsdale and the Office of the Mayor, it is proclaimed that the month of October is Employment of People with Disabilities Month. Whereas in 1988, Congress declared the month of October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month to recognize the contributions made by individuals with disabilities, and whereas the importance of inclusion and accessibility creates opportunity for growth and improvement and helps towards building a stronger economy for our city, and whereas the City of Scottsdale has long been committed to providing access and opportunity to participate in city programs, providing employment resources, and local collaborations for those who live with a disability and their families, and whereas prior to the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, Mayor Herb Drinkwater saw the importance of breaking down barriers for those living with disabilities, initiated a volunteer committee to work towards solutions, and this committee still exists today. And whereas our residents with disabilities deserve the right to live independently, enjoy self-determination, and be treated equally in the workplace. And whereas during this month, the Mayor's Committee on Employment of People with Disabilities Committee announces available college scholarships that assist college-bound students with disabilities to seek a higher education and showcase their talent. So this was something that Mayor Lane wanted to present at the October meeting, but we're of course recognizing this today along with the announcement of the scholarships. And for the public, the scholarships can be found at www.scottsdaleaz.gov, search scholarships, and there you will find a link with the scholarship application. Applications are due by Friday, January 1st, 2021. And we encourage you to take a look at the criteria and encourage those who are college bound to apply for this wonderful scholarship through proudly presented by the Gila River Indian community.
Thank you very much, Sharon, and thank you for the information about the upcoming scholarship. The next agenda item is presentation, discussion, and possible recommendations to staff regarding the Scottsdale Police Department response relating to race-related calls and proactive community conversations. And again, we are so appreciate the fact that Assistant Chief Rich Slavin is here tonight to present an update and to chat with us. Thank you very much for coming again, Chief Slavin.
Thank you, Councilwoman and members of the commission. I appreciate the opportunity to be here to speak with you all. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Sharon asked me to speak tonight about a few calls in particular that we've responded to in the month of October, both of which were race related as a motive for the crime. Or crimes. One in particular occurred on October 23rd on Main Street near a business called the Trading Post there. And what happened was an individual was filming a YouTube video. He has a YouTube channel, and he was performing that on Main Street when he was approached by a gentleman who questioned why he was there and then began to say some pretty horrible racist things to him about kind of indicating that the area he was in, that he was not welcome there based on his race. The crime was reported to us from the owner of that business who, because the gentleman that was filming the video, the victim of this crime, had posted his video and went pretty viral on social media, and the owner of the business was receiving some pretty hateful calls and threatening calls to her business. The suspect in this case had absolutely no relationship with the business other than simply living in the area, and so that's how we first got involved. There was a lot of video evidence here, and ultimately it resulted in the arrest of this suspect for 2 counts of disorderly conduct. One way to look at this, because there are certainly First Amendment and freedom of speech issues, regardless of if that speech is hateful, the Constitution does protect people's right to speak freely. But in this case, the victim was, really performing a function of his career / hobby. He wasn't bothering anyone, and the suspect approached him, interrupted his activities, and then included with that some rather horrific and offensive racial epithets, making him feel unwanted or unwelcome in the neighborhood. So with that, after investigating that case and speaking to all the parties involved, we did arrest the suspect for 2 counts of disorderly conduct. Those are hate crimes as well, which could lead to enhanced sentencing down the road. And ultimately assisted the business owner as well with getting the word out. When we heard from the business owner, we saw the video, we actually reached out to the victim on social media, simply saying, hey, we'd like to speak with you about this. He called us back, and then we investigated from there. And I'll pause there for a moment in case anyone has any questions about that case specifically.
I don't see any raised hands. Thank you.
Okay. And then the next case I'll talk about involved a gentleman running for office, Seth Blattman. He, like, of course, most other candidates, had his campaign signs posted throughout the city. One of his signs up near Frank Lloyd Wright in the 101 was vandalized with a swastika being painted on it and the word killer being written across at least the neck portion of his photograph. We didn't receive a call from Mr. Blattman for a few days from when we believe the incident took place. It was reported to us on the 25th, but then we did begin to investigate. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases involving campaign signs, and we have had many incidents this year of vandalism to campaign signs, as much as we would like to say we can catch these folks and we take a lot of proactive measures to try and number one, catch those that are doing it. Number two, prevent it from happening altogether. In this case, we did not make an arrest and we don't have any suspect information, but it is an example of some more race-based hate as it related to what was put on his sign. So I'll pause there as well for any questions about that case.
Yes, I see Vice Chair Hinchman has her hand raised.
Thanks, Janice. You discussed the two that I had in my mind, so thank you for that. It's good to know you guys are out there investigating. Since it has been said by our leaders in the city on NPR or other outlets that there really isn't any racism in Scottsdale, do you guys, and I apologize if you already have, do you guys put out any statement or anything condemning this kind of stuff so that the public sees that you guys are out there seeing it and dealing with it at all?
Thank you, ma'am, for the question. And just a quick comment on, I will say that just personally, I've experienced a lot of great leadership from the council with regard to these issues. In fact, the mayor and council have been extremely supportive of our efforts as we look into these things. They bring a lot of things to our attention as they hear from their constituency as well. And the vice mayor in particular, Solange Whitehead, has been very proactive in leading these efforts of ensuring that our city is welcoming. Every large city anywhere is going to have smatterings of this, but I think culturally as a city, we try to make it pretty well known that that's not who we are and that's not what our city values are. As far as us getting the word out, as a police department, I feel that the best way we can do that is through our actions. We do have to be, we always have to consider the First Amendment as we move forward, but certainly when a crime has been committed, moving swiftly and justly to ensure that we enforce the law sends a clear message not only to our citizens that are here full time, but certainly to the rest of the country about the kind of city that we are, our city values, and the things that we believe in.
Great, thank you. And I do appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you so much.
And we have Commissioner Roden has a question.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. I too also want to echo the sentiments of the Vice Chair of the Commission and say how much I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. Actually, I'm going to double up on both of these. So in one instance, in the first instance that you mentioned, we had not just a video, but a viral video. And so did that influence the speed in which the suspect was arrested? And two, in the case of Seth on Indian School, I'm sorry, Frank Lloyd Wright in the 101, isn't that one of those high density corners where there's video? And are there any traffic cameras that were on that corner? I guess that would be the first question that I have. Sure.
Thank you for the question, sir. And regarding the first question about whether since the video went viral, if that somehow sped up our investigation or influenced it. Any crime that's captured on video, of course, is tremendous evidence for us in the way of what the suspect has done, what the suspect looks like, and so on. It does help us in moving towards identification of a suspect more quickly. So in this case, the nature of the video itself certainly helped us with our investigation. Whether it is posted or goes viral or not doesn't really impact what we investigate or how we investigate. I will say that we had another citizen of ours and a business owner, that was very concerned about the viral nature of that video, and then if the activities that were depicted there were associated to her business. So from her perspective, certainly we have her protection to be concerned about as well, and so we were really trying to work with her the best we could to move swiftly. But we would have moved swiftly either way with the evidence that we had obtained, whether it had been virally posted or not. And with regard to Mr. Blattman's sign and in the nature of the area of that offense, unfortunately, a lot of traffic cameras are not recording. They're just simply observing for traffic flow. And so we did canvass that area. Like we've had a lot of sign vandalism this election cycle. And my detectives, my beat officers, my crime prevention officers, every time this happens, they're out looking for a way that maybe we could have captured that crime. In that case, we did not have any video that was usable.
Great, thank you. So if somebody were running a red light, you would have had a better chance, right?
So those cameras are different, sir. Those are actual infraction cameras. But a standard traffic, it's my fault for not clarifying. A standard like traffic management camera is not recording. It's just for the traffic management office to be able to see if things are backing up or not. But yes, on those type of cameras, if had someone committed a traffic violation just at the right time, that might have helped us. Yeah.
Right. But the second question, I appreciate that. The second question is, and I know this is probably a hypothetical, but what would have happened differently in both of these cases if we had had an anti-discrimination ordinance in the city?
Well, I don't know. I feel that the Arizona revised statutes cover it from a criminal perspective. The hate crime or anti-discrimination sort of tag that comes with that really adds to enhanced sentencing down the road. So the one case that we have a remain arrest in, at the time that case comes forward, the judge and or jury, depending on how that trial goes, will be given instructions about as an enhancement related to the fact that this was a hate crime. That's covered very well within Arizona revised statutes. 13701 talks about that as an aggravating factor. And then in a different statute, it defines race, religion, and so on as being something that can be, that would be used in that enhancement. So that's really covered here. I don't know a lot about what your commission has been working on related to an anti-discrimination statute. So I don't really have a full grasp on what it is that you're looking for in a city statute. But if it's something like what I've described, I feel that it's really covered well in Arizona revised statutes. If it's something other than that, I'll be happy to learn more about that from you all and see if we can be helpful in some fashion.
Great. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And for all the work that you do. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
And I do not see any other raised hands at this time. So before we close this agenda item, is there any other discussion that any commissioner would like to have about these types of issues in general, or any other discussion with Chief Slavin? Okay, I don't see any other hands. So I too, Chief, would like to thank you and the whole department for all the work that you're doing on this behalf. We are, as you know, very concerned about this, and we do appreciate being notified by your staff whenever you hear of these types of incidents as well. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, you too. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 4, which is update, discussion, and possible recommendations to staff regarding non-discrimination ordinance and anti-harassment policy research. And I will now turn it over to staff.
Chair, members of the commission, this is Brent Stockwell, Assistant City Manager. I'll give you a quick update on what we're doing. So as we shared with you at a previous meeting, we're doing some staff research to provide to the city manager at his request prior to going back to council. We do have a staff team that's been assembled. Sharon Seeney's on that team, Kelly Corsett's on that team, Bill Highland's on that team, and the executive assistant to the city manager, Christina Brady's on that team, along with myself. We do have an action plan that we have been developing. We're meeting bi-weekly we're hoping to complete our work by the end of the calendar year, and then get that to the city manager, and we will be sharing any concrete recommendations that come out of that with the commission prior to taking that back to the council. So let me talk to you briefly about what we're doing. We are undertaking an objective analysis of the commission's policy recommendation, the extent to which elements are already covered under state and federal law, and evaluation of the various elements. So we're working on that. We are also evaluating options for mediation and enforcement, and looking at other communities, both regionally within the state and nationally, on how they're handling it, and then also developing some more specific definitions. So we're fleshing out the information, the recommendation the commission made in more detail. We're also developing a public outreach plan that would be done if the council consented to moving forward with that, including educational information, what a website, survey, town hall, whatever would look like on that. So we're working on that. Also, as part of that, we'll be fleshing out what outreach might occur to the small business community and others, so that we make sure have a clear communications plan for getting out public input on this. We're also developing kind of an overarching non-discrimination, anti-harassment policy statement that could go into city code that would cover elected and appointed officials, employees, volunteers, contractors, vendors, consultants, et cetera, that would handle, this is primarily kind of the internal part of it, that would be a companion piece to the external piece that the commission made its recommendations on. And we're also drafting an ordinance that is consistent with the deal points that were outlined in the recommendation, so that all that work is available and ready for review after we've answered the questions the city manager had about it. So as I stated, our plan on this is to have our work completed by the end of this calendar year so that it can be taken up by the commission and ultimately the council in the new calendar year. That's the update that I have for you at this point. I'm available for any questions you might have. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Brent, for that readout on all the activities. And I see one raised hand, Vice Chair Hinchman.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you, Brent. Can you help me understand if it's been written in about 3 articles now since the election that we could have a majority to pass the NDO when the new council takes place. And they've put that in print, that this is going to be a top priority in several different platforms. If we had given our original letter that Chair and I had presented to this new council that is willing to take a look at it, would you guys still have to do all this work that you're doing now? In other words, are you just kind of getting things ready to go so that when we present it again, you won't have more work to do and you won't be sent out again to do more research? Do you understand? Am I confusing you?
Yeah, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, I don't think you're confusing me. I think we're all doing work that needs to be done prior to the council considering it. And the direction that I was given from the city manager is to have, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Regardless of them accepting from the letter that we sent, you would still have to be doing all this to get everything in order for us to put it through.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, yes, I think so. I think we're not doing anything that we wouldn't have to do that's, good faith and due diligence work to get this ready for the council to consider.
Okay, so then my second question would be, once the new council takes their place, what is our role as the commission now to get the NDO accepted? Or is this up to staff now?
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, the work we're doing is for the city manager. If the city manager has the ability to place that on the council agenda, we can also, city manager can direct it to go back to the HRC for, a revised recommendation perhaps, or a new recommendation. I just don't know at this point. I mean, we're doing the work that we've been asked to do, and we should have it done by the end of the calendar year. And I'll update you again in December and then also in January, and we can go from there. How about that?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you. And this is Janice Shimakubo. So I had my hand raised and then I see Commissioner Day. So real quickly, Brent, I'd like to just point out, I'm actually thrilled to hear that one of your tasks is to draft an ordinance. So that's great. And so it's my understanding, if you could please confirm the process. So after all this work is done, which we're targeting the end of this year, will the commission have an opportunity to hear a readout of all these items before it goes to the city manager, or does it go to us concurrently?
Chair, members of the commission, so the city manager has asked us to do work on his behalf first, and we will complete that. And then if I'm looking at it correctly, the commission's meeting would be, let's see, the 11th of January, the second Monday in January. And the new council isn't seated until, I think, Tuesday the 12th. And I don't think they'll be taking up a whole lot of action items at that first meeting. Typically, that's kind of more of a, they're taking care of the oath of office and all those matters. So it would really be at the second meeting in January. So I think we're right on target here. You'll, as I said earlier, you'll have a chance to see what we provided to the city manager at the meeting in January, and we can go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. That sounds excellent. And Commissioner Day.
Yes, you kind of answered my question that I had, but just to confirm, it will go to your report will go to the city manager, and then the commission gets to review it, and we review it before he sends it to the council, or do we send it to the council?
Chair, Commissioner Day, members of the commission, I don't know. So my first step is I pulled together the team. We're getting our response back to the city manager, and we'll go from there. Like I said, it's my plan that you would get everything that we had submitted to him at your meeting in January, and we'll agendize it like we have this item agendized. And if you have a recommendation to make to the council or the city manager at that time, you can make it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate all of your work.
You're welcome.
Okay, I do not see any more raised hands. So Brent and team, thank you very much for all this work that you're doing.
You're
Excellent.
welcome, and we'll keep you updated. And I apologize, I'm going to have to step off the meeting now, but I'm leaving it in good hands. You've got a great team supporting you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Next agenda item number 5, presentation, discussion, and possible recommendations to staff regarding plans to hold a series of town halls regarding the national discourse on race. And I shall turn it over to Sharon Sini and staff.
Thank you, Chair Shimakubo and Commission. Yes, we are excited to announce that we have scheduled the next virtual town hall and dialogue, What is Scottsdale's Story?, for Thursday, November 19th, starting at 6 p.m. We did change up the language a little bit on the invitations to get right down to it and really announce not only are we doing the TED Talk video, The Danger of a Single Story again, but also introducing 5 dynamic panel members who will share our Scottsdale culture. And really, these panel members are outstanding. So we have Leticia Hua, who is a New York licensed attorney working in a criminal defense firm assisting with juvenile life cases, advocates for criminal justice, global awareness, cultural diversity and inclusion, is a former vice chairwoman of the Phoenix Sister Cities Committee, and is also a former Miss Scottsdale and Miss Maricopa County. The next panel member is Marion Kelly. Marion is the director of the Office of Communications and Business Relations at the Mayo Clinic. So we're really excited to have him because he comes with a lot of experiences, both from a teaching aspects in elementary education, but also working in the U.S. Senate from the local committee, partnering and serving on the board for the Diversity Leadership Alliance. Sharon Ria is the founder for the Global Movement, and that is our next panel member. Global Movement is called No Judgment, Just Love, and she's a certified family communications relationships coach, working and owns the Whole Family Coaching and is proud resident of Scottsdale. We have 2 other panel members. The next one is Bob Frost. Bob was on our first pilot discussion, and so we invited him back. He is a retired city employee and has been a commissioner of the city, a former Marine, as well as a life member of the Boys and Girls Club of the Greater Scottsdale. And most of Scottsdale knows him as a poet. The last is Shannon Rivers, an Indigenous Peoples human rights activist, proud member of the Acoma Otham Nation, and born and raised on the Gila River Indian community. So he is an invited guest and is hopefully going to bring some insight from the Indigenous portion of our region. We do have a registration link, and I will go to the next slide to show you the promotions that we did. Here is the new graphic that we created. And this is what you'll see on social media, including Facebook and an event page that we developed. So I want to thank the Office of Communications Public Affairs Specialist, Stephanie Haraka, and Brian Gregory for helping us develop this, as well as Jeff Jordan, who helped us get the emails out to the boards and commissions. So here are the panel members for November 19th. Okay. The next slide is really about the key highlights. So far, as of this evening, we've had 47 registrations. We have posted this as an event on social media, and we put it on the city calendar. Shared the Facebook event on the city main page and the Office of Diversity Scottsdale for All Facebook page, as well as asking the panel members to share this information on their social media newsfeed. So I'm very glad they were able to do that. We did submit for the Scottsdale Update newsletter that went out on Friday. As mentioned, we've emailed the city board and commissions. I've emailed the invitation to community diversity partners, everyone who was on the list, including some of the identified potential partners that Commissioner Roden had identified a few months ago. Feel free to share that information because I may not have all of the educators' information, but I did get it to their communications office for Scottsdale Unified School District. We did send out a calendar hold to the city leadership and city staff, so I'll be making sure they get registered. I did get quite a few accepts for that, so I'll make sure they get registered. I think I received about 10 of those. Tomorrow, we're scheduling a meet and greet with the panel members and the moderator. This is where we're going to talk a little bit more deeply into that aspect of the live conversation. And we really want this one to allow the attendees to listen and consider these stories. We want them to watch the video. We want them to talk about the takeaways from the video and discuss Scottsdale's story as well as single story experiences. So with that, I will stop. I do have Facebook specific data. We did buy an ad and got it out there. So we are getting that information out to the greater Scottsdale area over the next 2 weeks. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you, Sharon. Looks like a lot of great work has gone into this, and I'm looking forward to it. Are there any discussion commissioners want to discuss or ask questions about this? Okay, I don't see any raised hands. So Sharon and staff, thank you again. And we still have, 10 days. So I'm sure we'll have many more people signing up. And please let us know if there's anything else that you would like any of the commissioners to do. So thank you. Our next agenda item is number 6, updates, discussion, and possible recommendation to staff regarding recent diversity inclusion related activities and incidents impacting the city of Scottsdale. So again, I shall turn it over to Sharon Sini.
Okay, thank you, Commission. We do have 3 items here just to briefly go over, and Kelly Corsett is also on the call. So Kelly, would you like to talk about this first bullet point?
Sure. Hello, Chair Shimakubo, members of the Commission. Some of you may recall that after the George Floyd incident and the unmasking protest incident at City Hall, we started looking into some public discussions that we could hold that might help tell a more complete story about Scottsdale, or might help our community have some conversations that may be difficult to have. And so that's the town hall that Sharon just described will be the second one of those we do, and really is the first one really open to the general public. But while we started forming those, we considered whether or not we could bring in some folks from outside the city who might carry with them by name or reputation a larger audience, so that we could get a larger section of our community sort of in the door to have some of these conversations. And one name that came up was Robin DiAngelo, the author of White Fragility, who frankly was in very high demand a couple of months ago, and still remains in high demand. So we did reach out to her representatives a few months ago and ask about the possibility of her doing something with the Scottsdale community. And at the time, frankly, she was her schedule was very tight, and also she was commanding a fairly high price, to be blunt about it, a fairly high price beyond what we thought we could support. So we did not pursue that at the time. Subsequent conversations with the representatives indicated that we might be able to make something work price-wise. So we have a staff team, not just from City of Scottsdale, but also including Scottsdale Arts, speaking about whether or how we could potentially put something together with Dr. DiAngelo to have another community conversation based on her book, White Fragility. And so those talks are in process. We are exploring what it might look like. of course, with everything else right now, COVID remains a big unknown and a factor that we have to plug in. Ideally, we would like Dr. D'Angelo physically to come to Scottsdale and to host a community conversation that way, and that's still what we're working on. But it's also something that we have to recognize the uncertainty that COVID brings. So the update is really the fact that we are in discussions. The city and the elements of the city that are in conversation are, of course, Sharon and the larger Office of Communication and Citizen Service, also Scottsdale Library, and then Scottsdale Arts as our partner organization who is very experienced bringing in outside folks to come in to Scottsdale. So we are talking about it. We are exploring the options, the possibilities, the timing. We're looking at mid-February through the end of March, potentially. And that's really where we are right now. We're having some additional conversations internally to kind of sketch out what we think this could look like, and then we'll see if we can hammer something out with her representatives that looks like it'll work. And when we have some more details, we'll of course share those with this commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And so I don't see any raised hands, but I do have a question. Is there anything that this commission can help you with, or are you seeking our input on whether we would like to see this happen? Is there anything you need from us?
Well, certainly, I think, I'm sorry, Chair Shimakubo, members of the commission, certainly if the commission has thoughts on whether or not we should pursue something like this, that would be helpful to know. Like I said, we aren't overall, we don't have 100% clarity on what this might look like. But certainly, I think some direction from the commission would be helpful. And I think as we start to get a better sense of whether this is possible and what it might entail and what structure it might take, certainly we would be open to some thoughts on that as well. It's somewhat difficult just because we're trying to move quickly to look towards, like I said, booking an event in February or March, which needs to happen fairly soon if we're going to do that. But there's a lot of moving parts. But I guess to your point, the thoughts of the commission on whether or not this would be a good idea would be certainly helpful as we consider trying to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Commissioner Hinchman has her hand raised.
Thanks, Chair. I'd have to talk this over with Commissioner Mendoza because her and I worked on the Golden Rule Day with Sharon that was canceled due to COVID that was set for April. But I have talked, I think, with Sharon about possibly helping with this instead for next year, and maybe even using the budget that we had for Golden Rule Day to help out with this. And we could bring in some other aspects of it that we had planned for that day, but I think it should take a priority to get her here, especially with the demographics of Scottsdale. So I would offer that. I don't know how Commissioner Mendoza feels about that, but I think that's a possibility, something we could talk about.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioners who'd like to comment? I see Commissioner Mendoza.
I just wanted to respond to Emily and say that is a good idea. Yeah, I would. I'm aligned with that kind of suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chair Shimakubo, members of the commission, this is Kelly. Certainly the April timeframe, I think, is a possibility as well. That may be better from a number of perspectives. So we'll make sure that we're looking at that period of time as well for a potential event. Thank you.
And Commissioner Mendoza and Commissioner Hinchman, this is Sharon Sini. I did earmark the money that we had designated for the golden rule for this, and had shared that with the committee that is working on this. And one thing that we really thought about, because the community engagement is pretty important, and I know that's what the commission wanted to do with the golden rule, especially with our partnership with the Be Kind People's Project and the keynote speaker that we had identified. So certainly I did let Kelly know that we had briefly spoke, and that money is earmarked for this endeavor until we confirm. So wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Sharon. And so if you could please keep us posted on the status, because it sounds like it's continuing to evolve. So thank you.
Will do.
All right, and Sharon, do you want to take the next item?
I do. This next bullet, actually this one is, I'm going to keep this very brief, but we did get a couple of inquiries through Scottsdale EZ. One of them was a complaint involving a husband of a woman who was living with a disability, and an event had taken place up at Westworld where there was some accessibility issues, which ultimately ended up having an altercation in a situation with the contracted parking attendant. So we did look into that. We did reach out to our tourism, our Westworld staff, and they are looking to make sure that that contractor is made aware of it, and they're addressing it appropriately. We certainly don't want to have any of our patrons that are going to one of our city locations deal with something like that. So just wanted to let you know that Scottsdale EZ is working, and it is one of those ways that our members are reaching out to us when it comes to our disabilities. The second one is an LGBT situation. Now, this happened back in August, and it was an out-of-state individual who contacted our LGBT liaison, Stana Slater, and she was able to assist him. We did what we typically do, which is reach out, just identifying that it's outside of our jurisdiction, and offered this gentleman the resources that he might need to address the situation with one of the businesses here in Scottsdale. So those were just two inquiries that I received that are not necessarily reportable with regards to the LGBT situation. So we'll let that individual handle it if he decides to go to the state, for example. And again, really mindful about our contractors. So I love the discussion with the non-discrimination and how we're, and we have always included our contractors in the non-discrimination, but this is really an opportunity to make sure that they are training their staff who are coming to our facilities, in particularly event producers, to make sure that they know how to deal with diversity issues in our city. So that's what that bullet was. Are there any questions with regards to that?
Sharon, I don't see any raised hands.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. And the last one is really, again, as Chair Shimokubo mentioned early on, the new commissioner appointment nominations are scheduled for actually tomorrow, November 10th. The council will make those appointments on December 1st. So they do have several applications that were turned in, and they will be looking at those submitted and older applications that were submitted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. So at our next meeting, we should have a new commissioner on board by then.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We are now on agenda item number 7, which is the identification of future agenda items. So if any commissioner has anything they'd like to bring up tonight, please raise your hand.
Chair Shimokubo, I do have one that I would like to suggest, which is the call for nominations for the chair and vice chair positions. Those are done in January, and at the December meeting, we'll put a call for nominations into that. After that call for nominations are given at the December meeting, the commissioners will actually email me directly who their nominations are, and I'll receive them and give them a reply. At the the January meeting is when we will do the elections. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I see two hands raised, Commissioner Hinchman and then Commissioner Roden. Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Sharon, I just wanted to reiterate for the 8,000th time that we want to update on the NDO monthly on every agenda until we get it.
Okay, I have that actually
resolution.
down. Thank
Okay.
you, Vice Chair. I also included the virtual town hall because we'll be finished with the one on November 19th. So we'll give an overview, snapshot of those outcomes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The other item I would like to request is an overview of the Regional Unity Art Walk. By then we should have the information we need, including the graphics, the website that is being done as the main landing page, and give a fuller overview so that way the commission can engage into the activities for Martin Luther King Day as well as the Regional Unity Art Walk. That is going to take place mostly virtual, but I'll get into those details and put that on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. And Commissioner Roden.
Well, heck, Sharon's just so organized. She took mine. But the one thing that I would add to what she said about the postscript for this town hall is also a next steps for what we want to do for 2021, especially in light of not being able to have the diversity dinners. So I look into doing more town halls in place of the diversity dinners for next year. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Roden. And this is Janice Shimakubo. So you kind of took one of my thoughts too. I'd like to also add, Sharon, a short discussion about our 2021 strategic priorities. So in the past, we've had, strategic planning meetings, and we have been trying to get more aligned with the city calendar year, which is July 1 through June 30th. So we're still a little out of sync, but knowing that the new year is starting, I'd like to just take some time next month to talk about our priorities. And to Commissioner Roden's point, we had dinner and dialogue on our high priority list, and it's probably time to relook at that and revise it. So thank you. And I do see Commissioner Day has her hand raised.
Yes, I wonder if I could go back to the agenda item, Robin DeAngelo.
Yes, please do.
Okay. We may want to consider a meet and greet with the new council when she does come to speak, just as a positive reinforcement of what we are doing.
Okay, thank you. And Sharon, would you please, or Kelly is still on the call, right? So I think, yes, Kelly, I see you. Thank you.
Yes, Chair Shimakubo, Commissioner Day, members of the commission, we will do that. That's one of the things we're looking at is what are the different pieces that we would want to do, and I think that could certainly be one of them in addition to a larger public discussion. Thank you. We'll put it on the draft plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments about future agenda items? Okay, well, we have quite a few, so thank you for all your input. And at this point, we are ready to adjourn. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. All right. And I heard a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So thank you, everyone. It's now 5:54. And so have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll see you